Friends, family, fans, boys, girls, gentlemen, ladies, dogs, cats, fish, turtles. Welcome back to another episode of Back Nine Bets. Episode 72, Return of the Mac. I would not even try to rap that song because I'm terrible with lyrics, and that's just how my life is. Good with numbers, bad with lyrics. You know, we're gifted with some things, we aren't with others. It's the BMW Championship. Leg number 2 of the FedEx Cup playoffs. We got 50 extremely good golfers in the field this week in a no-cut event playing at Olympia Fields in Chicago. I will be heading out there this weekend. Yes, it's only a casual 5.5-hour drive for your boy all the way from the heart of Iowa, and we're going to make our way out there and have some fun watching these guys play some good golf. So that's what's on the schedule for the week for me. We're going to get through this little model situation here that we've got going on. As always, going to talk about our outrights, find a few placement bets, not too many. It's a weird week with that. And then chat about some Ryder Cup stuff. You know, there's some bubble boys on the bubble there. Got some guys we really want to talk about, some guys that are sitting outside the top 10 or so, top 8. Anyone can make this team. You know, those Ryder Cup captains picks can always throw a curveball in the way. So it's going to be a fun week. Before we do that, though, we're going to talk about the BMW Championship this week and find out exactly who we are betting and why we are betting them and who we're liking in some DFS plays, because it's going to be an interesting week, friends. 50 golfers. I mean, I think I was looking at the ownership projections, like there's 2 guys under 5% or something. So it's not even that kind of a week. It's going to have to be a weird week with roster construction, game theory, all that. You're going to have to go heavy on a few guys. I mean, I don't know if it's a week to kind of go big on 150 max or something. Maybe single entries is probably where you want to stick around, kind of really stick to a small player pool and kind of hope for the best this week. That's just my opinion. You do whatever you want. So let's dive into some stats here, figure out exactly what's going on. At some point, I don't know why StreamYard is being a little bitch lately and taking forever to show my stuff. So I don't know what's going on here, but we're going to keep removing, adding, and then it just takes forever to show up. But it will. We'll have faith, and the stuff will show up here shortly, and then we will no longer keep going back and forth because I don't know why. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do to make it. There we go. I guess I got to make my mouse live. Who the heck knows? Anyway, Olympia Fields, they've played here once before 2020. And as you can see here on the screen, if you're on YouTube, on Back Nine Bets, baby, episode 72, Return of the Mac. Distance off the tee, 6% more important than tour average. Strokes gained around the green, 6% more important. And putting, 4% more important than tour average. So those are the 3 stats that are going to be more important than tour average. We've got a really interesting course profile this week. Now, it's been a rainy Midwest season, and the course is going to be a lot softer than it was when the boys were out there playing in 2020 during the COVID years. And it's not going to play nearly as hard and firm. So a little softer, a little more receptive, and I think scores could be a little bit lower, which bodes well for our outright, which we will get to here shortly. But approach play, 2% less than tour average, not too crazy. But as we said, distance around the green play and putting on bent grass greens with a bit of mix in power. We just got bent going on this week, and we'll see how that goes. From a proximity standpoint, it's a long par 70. It's about 7,300 yards, but the majority of the shots still come from 125 to 200. We've got about 63%, about 2/3 of the shots coming from 125 to 200, a typical kind of venue, you know, like we've had the last 2 tournaments, Wyndham Championship and the FedEx St. Jude. All of those were pretty similar. And speaking about the FedEx St. Jude, holy cow, Patrick Cantlay, bro. Guys, I just have to take a minute here. Because, you know, this is Back Nine Bets. We've had a bit, as you know, if you are a returning viewer, I appreciate you. Thank you. I'm sorry. If you followed Patrick Cantlay last week with me, it was a tough day, man. It was a tough day. Patrick Cantlay missed the first fairway to start round 4 and then hit every other fairway. So what's that? 13 fairways in a row. Has the round of the day. Makes the playoff because Lucas Glover decides to become the wonder kid, Jordan Spieth, and make every putt under the sun, gaining like 4 strokes putting or something ridiculous on Sunday. makes the playoff. Patrick Cantlay's second missed fairway in 19 holes is in the water on the final hole. And we lose in the playoff. So the wonderful year continues, and it was rough, but we keep trying. We keep trying. We keep plodding along. There's always a reason for everything happening, and I don't know what it was. Adam Schenk played pretty nicely for us. We got him into the top 10 at plus 800, which was delightful. But we still kind of got robbed. It was kind of ridiculous. It was a weird week. We crushed it, but we could have crushed it even more had Patrick Cantlay won. Victor Hovland bogeyed the final hole to move outside of the top 10 at plus 190. So he finished 12th or 13th. And that was a big swing. That's a 3-unit swing right there. So some brutal endings, but, Schenk made a big putt on the final hole to get inside the top 10. So we can't really complain too much at plus 800. What a freaking round by him. So he's one of our favorite golfers this year. Anyway, so yeah, 2/3 of the strokes gained coming, or proximity coming from 125 to 200 this week. Nothing too crazy either side of that. You get the usual. There's still some solid wedge play from 100 to 125, all that jazz. And then as you can see, last year it was kind of hard. Firm conditions. About 300 yards driving average last year compared to the tour average of 290. I don't know if we're going to see that extra 10 yards of rollout this week, particularly with the soft conditions. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, as we see, it's about 100 yards longer than tour average, and it's only a par 70. And then when we want to talk about driving accuracy, this is going to be a very important situation. As you can see, the fairway width is about a third smaller than tour average, about 26 yards versus 39. And the driving accuracy as a result of this is about 48% versus the 59% on tour. So you got to drop in about 11 total percent, which is about an 18% decrease, which is pretty significant. And as a result of that, we're going to see a lot of golf balls coming out of the rough from these shorter proximities. So we really want guys that can hit their golf balls consistently and well out of rough. And that goes in hand with the long hitters. So we're going to dive into the model here. And the reason why guys that drive the ball far, it means if you're driving the ball far, it means you got a great club head speed, right? So your ball is getting absolutely rocked by your golf club because it's traveling fast. If you're in the rough, what do you need? You need club head speed. You need acceleration through the ball in order to generate spin and velocity to get the ball out of the thick rough. And that's why these long hitters benefit because, one, they're hitting it way further down the fairway, because if everyone's just flying at that same distance, doesn't matter if you hit the fairway or not, where your ball stops, it might be in the rough, it might be in the fairway, but it's going to not roll out. So you're not going to be penalized distance on a soft golf course because your ball's going to land in the rough. You don't get rollout in the rough, you get rollout in the fairway, but if it's soft, you don't get that rollout. Now, if you're in the rough, you're closer to the green than someone that's short and in the rough, and you've got extra club head speed to get out of that rough. So it's like a triple-edged sword, tripod situation, a trident, what Brick killed a guy with an Anchorman. Shout out Degenerate 75. So, yeah, kill a guy with a trident this week, and Rory McIlroy can do that. Because why? He leads the field, friends, in a lot of stuff. We got pink boxes everywhere at the top, yeah. In the last 24 rounds, Rory McIlroy leads the field in strokes gained total. He leads the field off the tee. He leads the field in strokes gained on hard golf courses. He leads the field in birdie or betters made over the last 24 rounds. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but, let's actually do this because we always can't see what's going on over here. We have added 2 extra columns. We now have, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Okay. So as you can see at the bottom there, we've got strokes, birdie or better rates over the last 24 rounds and bogey rates over the last 24 rounds. Because I was taking a look, and if you take a look at Rory, his bogey rate for the season, when he was playing pretty bad to start the year, it's kind of skewed by those initial rounds. Now we get a bogey rate that's kind of looking sexier, much sexier than third than versus 23rd, which is very, very nice stuff. So we like that from Rory. We like what he can get up to. I'm going to just tidy up this while we're speaking about his game. But man, oh man, does Rory McIlroy hit the golf ball a million country miles. And we like that about his game. We need that at this golf course. And Cameron Young is the 3rd longest driver of the golf ball on this field. And Cameron Young is 8 yards behind Rory McIlroy in driving distance on average. That's a full club length, friends. That's a full club length. Oh, yeah. We got first round leader in the house here. One of my favorite follows on the Twitter sphere. Maybe playing out of the rough will help Rory control his spin with his wedges. Absolutely, dude. That's exactly what's going on here. And if you take a look at what Rory gets up to, if you take a look at good shots out of the rough from 100 to 150 this year, he's 30th. If you take a look at strokes gained out of the rough under 150 yards, he's 22nd. So he definitely plays better, obviously, because he gains so much more control out of the rough versus everyone else. You don't have more control out of the rough in general, but relative to the field, he should have a better opportunity. And then when you're coming out of the rough from 150 yards plus, oh boy, he's fifth in the field in that department. So you can see exactly why we like Rory this week. You've got the first in distance. You've got the fifth in strokes gained out of the rough from 150 plus, which is about 2/3 of the shots this week. And 2/3 of those shots are going to be coming, half of them are coming from the rough. More for Rory because he's very inaccurate. But he is very, very long. So he's going to be able to dismantle this golf course, bombs away. The penalties is the rough. So if you miss it by a foot, if you miss it by 100 feet, essentially it's the same punishment versus last week. You needed some precision because you could land up in trouble off the tee in water and things like that. This week, not so much. If you take a look at what Rory gets up to on bent grass greens, much better. He putts typically a lot better on bent grass greens, 13th in the field in that department versus the 38th that he's been showing us this year. So we love Rory on bent, and then, it's just going to be fun and bombs away. He's been, irons and driver have just been scintillating lately. So Rory McIlroy at 8-1 to win this tournament is going to be our single bullet. That's where we're going. That's where we're going. That's our outright for the day, right off the top of the bet, over the top of the card, at the top of the model, beginning of the show. He's number one in the model. We like that. He's been, I think, it's now 8 straight top 7s or top 10s that he's had. He's playing phenomenal golf. And we get the same odds as Ram and Scotty. So a lot to like from Rory. He's $12,100 in DFS and 20% owned on Tuesday evening on a beautiful, sunny Tuesday evening in Iowa. So, Rory, let's go get this thing done. Return of the McIlroy. Let's see what you can get up to, my brother. Let's see what you can get up to for us. So, bent grass, distance, out of the rough, everything we're looking for here. Very, very nice stuff. Recently around the green, a little bit of a concern, but typically, he's a pretty solid around the green player, fifth in the field in baseline versus the 28th we've seen over the last 24 rounds. So not ideal, but we know that it's there. Hopefully that bounces back. But the way he's ball striking it right now, we can kind of get away with that a little bit. The hard golf course scoring, he leads the field, and people are saying he can't score when the conditions get super low and whatever, like single figure under par situation, he can't win these tournaments. I disagree. I think this is going to be soft enough this week that he could get under par, too close to 10 under par. And hopefully he gets to 10 and everyone else is sitting at 4 or 5 and off we go. He wins this thing by 5. That would be ideal. So sign us up for Rory. We'll be playing a lot of him in DFS at $12,100 and we'll be betting him for a top 5 at plus 138, including ties on BetMGM. So that's all the stuff we're looking for over here from Aurora, and we're going to have a good one. Scotty Scheffler, 13 minutes into the pod. Thank you all for tuning in. We love your support here on Back 9 Bets. Scotty Scheffler, friends, second in the model. He's actually, over the last 24 rounds, second to Rory. As we mentioned earlier, he's number one. So Scotty kind of falling apart a little bit. We've got some stats on Scotty Scheffler recently, and his recent ball striking over the last 8 is averaging 0.78 on approach, which is not nearly as good as what we've seen in the 54 rounds before that. He's gaining about double that, plus 1.5 strokes per round. So the last 8 rounds haven't really been what we've seen from old Scotty. And guess what? That 0.78 that he's been gaining in the last 8 rounds, which is still pretty solid, but not by his standards that he's been set, that's exactly what he's been losing putting over the last forever. So now if you're getting a Scotty Scheffler that's only average or very good, not brilliant and extremely sexy with the irons, his putter is neutralizing his approach play right now. And that's why we haven't seen him inside the top 20 in the last little while. You need exceptional approach play if you're going to be putting that bad. He's 48th in this field. Who is worse? Who is worse? Tony Finau's worse and Siwoo Kim. Yeah. So those are two guys that suck a lot at putting. And Scotty's just ahead of them. No one else worse than Scotty, Siwoo, or Tony Finau right now. So I don't know about Scotty this week. You know, you could potentially see him play fantastic golf at a course like this where the bogey avoidance is essential. You know, if you take a look at bogey avoidance in the season, first in the field. Take a look at bogey avoidance in the last 24 rounds, only 13th, you know. So it's kind of been a little interesting situation for Scotty. He's kind of seen some regression there. Only 2 par 5s this week. So we're going to like Max Homa once again, but we'll get to him here shortly. I think I'm going to leave Scotty out of all my lineups. I faded Rory last week. Surprise, surprise. We put DFS lineups together with Rahm and Scotty, and we never had Rory. That's just how it goes. So we're going to bounce back to Rory this week at 12-1 and hope for the best. We got prices down to $5,500 this week, which is going to be interesting. Third in the model, Patrick Cantlay. So we're leaving Scotty alone. His numbers are too gross to even get near if you are looking to bet him. You know, you can't bet Rory and Scotty in the same card unless you're trying to get a 4 times return. It's 8-1 isn't what you're looking for either of those two guys. So got to do a single bullet and off we go. Patrick Cantlay, friends, off the tee. Like we said, hit pretty much every single fairway in regulation last week until we needed him to hit another one and he lost the tournament for us. So pull one out for all the homies out there. That was a terrible situation. His upside goes to 3rd compared to the safety of 4th, which is the average. Versus the upside ranking, we're using the 75th percentile of the last 24 rounds, which gives us not the average. So you're taking away your worst rounds and we're adding in the very best, the top end rounds. You know, what's your upside? What is what's your 6th best, your 6 best rounds in the last 24? What are those? What can we expect from you when you're really playing your best golf? And Cantlay jumps Rahm in that situation. So we'll be playing Cantlay in DFS for sure. We like him a lot. Why? Because around the green, he's amazing. On approach, not the best, actually, but everything else about his game is very, very nice. Doesn't necessarily play the hard golf courses the best. He's 5th in the field, but those hard golf courses include majors. We see Cantlay play better golf, you know, at Murfield Village, you know, Bay Hill, that kind of places. He plays great golf at those kind of venues. Those aren't majors. So you got to remember a lot of these hard golf courses are majors, and that's why Patrick Cantlay doesn't necessarily grade out the best there. But his bogey avoidance is 6th in the field, makes the 2nd most birdies, and Patrick Cantlay is on his merry way. We really, really like him this week. We really liked him last week, and he let us down. So that's okay. We'll figure it out. The approach play has been a bit of a concern for Cantlay lately. 23rd in the field over the last 24 rounds. His good shot percentage is not very, very good for this place. So 41st in the field in that department. But, you know, the further away it gets from the further away it gets from the P. Oh, boy. The further away from the green it gets, the better he plays. There we go. That's how you say that sentence. From the rough, he plays better, but he's still 26th out of the rough from 150 and out, which is not ideal. You know, where Scotty and Rahm and Rory are all inside the top 5. So that's a definite distinguishing factor there. Maybe that's why Cantlay doesn't play that well in match. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I think usually it's his putting that lets him down. So, but you know, Patrick Cantlay on bent grass greens is one of the best in the field. We're going to love to see that. So that putt is definitely going to be one of the saving graces for him. And as we can see here, he's one of the few guys at the top of the model that's actually a really good putter on these greens. Now, putting isn't as predictive as we know, so we'll see what happens. But we really like the rest of his game outside the irons, and we're going to hope, as we saw, irons isn't that important compared to tour average. We're going to need more putting around the green play and distance. And Patrick Cantlay's got distance and he's got accuracy. 11th and 8th in this field in both those categories, which is one of the best totals that you can put together. You know, that's sub 20. I think if you add everyone else's rankings up, it won't fit inside the top. It won't be less than 20. So he does some great stuff. And I think that's why we saw him play so well last week. Well enough not to win. Yay. But we're going to be positive. Adam Schenk, baby. All right. Jon Rahm, what does he do well? Out of the rough from 150 and out, he's 2nd in the field. Probably 1st. I don't know. My model's doing weird stuff where I don't know if these guys are the same. It's making if you're tied for 1st somehow between Lucas Glover and Jon Rahm out of the rough, you second, not first. But he's very good out of the rough regardless. We've seen what he can get up to. Now, the reason why we did this is because if you take a look at John Rahm's stats, on the season, birdie or better rate, he leads the tour. Bogey avoidance, he's 4th. But over the last 24 rounds, birdie or better, he's 20th. And over the last 24 rounds, bogey avoidance, he's 25th. So that's not good. Also, he leads the field in par 5 scoring. There's only 8 of those he'll get to play this week. So that doesn't help either. You know, you usually should get 8 more. So that's a whole extra 8 holes that he has to play that he doesn't have that big of an edge on the field, although he's a very good golfer. But the putting and the short game have kind of left him. He used to be one of the best drivers of the golf ball in the world, and that's kind of going backwards for him as well. Now, we know how good he is out of the rough. We'll see how that goes, but I don't trust his short game right now. I don't trust his driver right now. Although he's got the distance, I don't know how important accuracy is going to be for these long hitters. But you can, if you find yourself in the fairway all the way down there, you can make a lot more birdies than these other guys that are going to be hitting 7 irons into these greens versus wedges. So I think in the 12 and 10K, 11K range, I'm going to go with Rory. I'm going to play Rory only and leave the other 2 alone because we got to get aggressive this week. That's how you got to play. We're going to have very duplicated lineups, and you just got to be different somehow. So we'll leave Rahm alone along with Scotty. Potentially throw Patrick Cantlay in the mix because we like him to at 10-5. Victor Hovland, friends. He's going to be a fun one to watch this week. Out of the rough from 150 out. He's 9th in the field. If you take a look at bogey avoidance, though, the last 24 rounds is 32nd. But he makes a lot of birdies. Last 24 rounds in birdie or betters, 2nd in the field. He's going to make a lot of scoring for you. He was right up there in T3. At one point on the back 9, we had Victor to win last week as well. He was in the mix and then shot a 38 on the back. Just couldn't get it done, man. You know, like I had Victor in a captain lineup for Rainmakers, and when he was sitting in 3rd place, we were looking pretty. Lost about $100 when he dropped all the way down to T13 or whatever. So $10,300 for Victor at a golf course like this, where the weighted good shot percentage is 1st in the field. That makes a lot of sense at 13% ownership, especially. So we'll like Cantlay, Rory, and Victor in the 10K range here for sure. Those are going to be our guys. We're going to roll with him a lot. And then you know what? Victor out of these, rough, the thick rough, he tends to get it done. The round the green plays 13th in the field over the last 24 rounds, which is ideal. You know, the putting has been a bit of an issue for him. But if you take a look at Bentgrass green putting from 5 to 15 feet, he's 3rd in the field. 24th in the field for like general putting, but from 5 to 15 feet, it's going to be very important to sink those putts. And what we know is the greening regulation rates at this golf course are very low. Greening regulation rates are 58% versus the 66. So almost half the time versus 2/3 of the time are these guys hitting these greens. Now, when you're doing that, you want to be able to do it well enough so that someone's just pulling up in front of my house here and I don't know what's going on. But anyway, if I get mugged, let me know, folks. But moving on swiftly, Victor Hovland, we like him around these greens. We like him to make all those par saves from 5 to 15 feet on Bentgrass greens, especially in a DFS contest where he makes a lot of birdies. So he'll be in our roster. Tyrrell Hatton seems like he's kind of lost his groove since this like little mini break after all the majors, and we'll see what he can get up to. Around the greens, he's been struggling a little bit lately. Not necessarily the best baseline there either, but he gets his stuff done, and the driver of the BMW convertible has left the building. So that's good. I'm not getting held up in my own house, although that would be a very unfortunate event. Tyrrell been putting great. That's what's been his situation lately, and he dominates on the greens. He's $9,000, 15% owned, and I don't know. There's not a lot to like about him. The bogey avoidance over the last 24 rounds has been 3rd in the field, though. So he has been great when it comes to bogey avoidance recently, and it makes a lot of sense, you know. He dominates out of the rough from 150 and in, not necessarily as well from 150 and out. And, you know, he's just become a much better wedge. He used to be a really good long iron player. And now he's a much better wedge player, it seems. So interesting stuff from Tyrrell. Nice little change of strategy there. But we know he's a great driver of the golf ball. And We'll see what he can get up to. But at 9%, 9,000, 15% owned, I don't know how I feel about him this week. I'm not thrilled about him, but the model really likes him. On hard golf courses, a great putter, scrappy dude. He can get, I think the lower the scores, -10, I like Tyrrell Hatton. So we'll plug him in at 9K. I think that's a solid price for Tyrrell. I mean, geez, he's the lowest price guy amongst everyone else here in our model. So why not play him? Colin Morikawa is going to be one of these dudes. I was listening to Rick Run Good show earlier, and if you don't have distance, you need accuracy, and he does have that. So Colin Morikawa is second in the field in accuracy off the tee, right behind Russell Henley. Off the tee in general, he gains the 10th most strokes. He's been gaining the 12th most strokes of the last 24 rounds, and his approach play has been fantastic. Over the last 24, he's fifth in the field, but not nearly as good as what he can be. We know how good of a golfer he is, and on the year, he's second in the field in strokes gained approach. So kind of slipping a tad, nothing too crazy. And when you take a look at Colin Morikawa out of the rough, things get rough. He's not the best out of the rough, so might have to leave him alone actually this week because I'm not entirely sure how I feel about his around the green play out of the rough, although he's been chipping fantastically. The putter kind of not necessarily the greatest, but we know that he's not the best putter in the world either. But it's been moving in the right direction. And you know what? I'm just out on Colin at $9,800. We just can't do it. Ricky Fowler's next up on the slate. Weighted good shot percentage is phenomenal out of the fairway. He's very, very good from 150 and out. But when you put him in the rough from 150 plus, he goes all the way to 49th. He's not very good out of the rough. Whatever Ricky's issue is out of the rough, it's no good when he's in there with a long iron in his hand. So we'll have to figure out what we're doing there. The bogey avoidance recently has been pretty solid. 10th in the field over baseline, and then 25th over the last 24 rounds. So you've got all that going on for him there, but nothing super inspiring from Ricky. He's going to have to hit a lot of fairways in order to play good golf, and we haven't really seen him do that great lately. We've been expecting him to play good golf, but he just hasn't shone like we can expect from Rickster. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to play him either. We've got to really pick your players. We can't play everyone. And I think we like the 4 guys at the top here, so we're going to roll with them. And then I think our final guy is going to be Tommy Fleetwood. This guy over the last 24 rounds, third in the field in strokes gained. He's been putting lights out lately. Now we're going to bent grass greens, but that last 50 rounds on bent grass greens goes all the way back to who knows when. He's been putting a lot better this year, and most of the courses these guys play are on bent grass greens. And in fact, I'm going to take a quick peek just to see what old Tommy gets up to on these bent grass greens, because I think that's important to know. How recent has his recent good putting been? And then we'll figure that out from here. So just going to take a quick peek here. Tommy Fleetwood strokes gained putting on these bent grass greens over the last little while. It's been okay. The US Open meltdown on the greens for the most part. The RBC Canadian on bent grass greens, he obviously had one of his best putting performances on tour. So it's a bit of give and take on the bent grass greens there, but I don't know. You're going to see all sorts of interesting situations from the Tomster, but I think the ball striking is just still too good right now too. The last 25 rounds, 25th on the field in approach play, which doesn't really make much sense, but the ball striking's been good. When you watch him play golf, it's awesome. I don't know. But the bogey avoidance of the last 24 rounds is third. And Tommy Fleetwood plays well on these difficult courses. I'm a big fan of him this week. I'm not a fan of Tommy Fleetwood on Birdie Fests. Obviously not, but he's been playing better on those too lately. However, bogey avoidance places are where you want to play Tommy Fleetwood. He's around the green play is amazing. Fourth in the field around the green. So we'll see what he can get up to. I love myself some Tommy Fleetwood this week at 9,700. He'll be one of the last guys we play in this range, not named Max Homa. Max Homa at $9,500, 12% owned. I think he's playing some great golf. He's moving in the right direction. He can just, avoid bogeys like crazy. He's sixth in the field in bogey avoidance over the last 24 rounds, which is amazing. 12th in the field in general. So that's what you're going to get from Max. 29th in par 5 scoring. So that's why we mentioned the lack of par 5s on this course is ideal for Max, because he loses some ground on the guys in those kind of situations. I don't know why his par 5 scoring so bad compared to everybody else, but it is what it is. Off the tee of the last little while, he's up to 11th now. He's been playing some great golf recently. So that's what you're going to get from Maximus Hominis. And we'll see what he can get up to. Out of the rough, oof, boy. From 150 plus, though, he's 48th in the field. So maybe that's not the best situation in the world. Ugh, that's a little concerning, considering how much these guys are going to be missing greens. And the iron play has just been bad in general lately. That pretty much let him down last week, despite pretty much losing in 3 rounds out of the 4. He still managed to finish T6 last week because he led the field in driving. So he's going to have to figure it out. I don't mind Max at this kind of ownership. It gives you some leverage, and we'll see what happens. But just while I've got my ADD kicking in here, we're going to go smallest to largest. Take a look. There's only 3 guys less than 5% owned. So you are not going to be finding anybody that's going to find you massive leverage on the field. Everybody else is 6% and above. So it's tough. It's roster construction, leaving salary on the table, stacking waves, all of that kind of stuff. If you can, you're going to have to use all those DFS tools and tricks to kind of get through the weird ways and wonders of DFS this week. So make sure that you don't be a square, change up things, do things differently. Tom Kim, $8,700. His accuracy is 3rd in the field. Still very, very impressive there. And he's actually very solid out of the rough. 7th in the field in strokes gained out of the rough from 150 plus. Love to see that. His bogey avoidance over the last 24 rounds is 38th in the field, though. He just has those days where he just kind of melts down. Typically, he's one of the better bogey avoiders at 11th in the field on a baseline situation. But the putting has been a problem lately. Or in general, it's been a problem. But over the last 24 rounds, it's been much better. Now he does have an ankle injury. I don't know how hitting out of the rough has been. I don't know if we like Tom Kim from an ankle injury perspective. So that's the issue. We faded him last week, and it kind of paid off because he kind of went backwards a little bit. So we love Tommy, but I don't know if this week is the week for him. Xander Schauffele just cannot finish inside the top 10. He just cannot get it done. And, for that reason, we're out. Lucas Glover, accurate as balls off the tee, doesn't hit a lot of bad shots at all. 2nd in the field in weighted bad shots, which is probably 2nd to Scotty Scheffler. So you're going to get that from the glove man. The approach play has always been great. Accurate off the tee. And you know what? The last 24 rounds, he's 3rd in the field in bogey avoidance. Woo, boy. How long can we ride the glove? We'll see. The love glove ruined our chances of a Patrick Cantlay win last week at $9,100, 13th in the model. So he jumps a lot when you look at upside in recent performances from 20th to 13th in the model. The approach play has been fantastic recently. We'll see what he can get up to. Doesn't have a lot of distance, which is going to be an issue, but maybe we get some ownership discount on that department. But he's $9,100, which is rough. Very, very rough. So we'll see what goes on there. Corey Connors, 14th in the model. See what he can get up to this week. Nothing really popping as like an elite trait outside of off the tee, which he does with neither accuracy or distance. So, in fact, that doesn't really bode well for anything. He's solid on approach. I don't know. I don't know about Corey Connors this week. I like Hideki from just a general perspective. He's super solid when you think about these hard golf courses. He goes to 15th in strokes gained on hard courses, which is a lot better than the crap that he gets up to on the medium and easy ones. Doesn't nearly have to make enough putts on this kind of course, but the bogey avoidance for Hideki is 10th and 5th baseline and recently, so you love to see that. And he's $9,400 though. Jesus, everyone we like is 90 something, so that balance build might be the way to go this week. You can get some really good leverage on these guys. If you roll, just leave that top 10K range out. We really like Hideki. Maybe we rock a few balance builds with these guys. Tyrrell, Tommy, Hideki kind of situation. So those would be 3 solid guys to roll with, in my opinion, in the 9K range. And we're going to go with them and Max Homa. I don't know why. I'm kind of thinking Max Homa is getting his stuff together, but either up, we'll see. I don't know. A 20% Emiliano Grillo is going to be an instant fade for me in this kind of a format. as well as the Russell Henley situation at 21%. So we're not even going to talk about those guys just from a game theory perspective. I get how well he's been playing and the salary savings you're going to get at $7,400. If he has a bad week, awesome. His around the green play is very bad in general and recently. 47th recently, in general, 50th in the field. So no, I'm not going to be playing Emiliano Grillo, especially at 20% ownership with a glaring deficiency like that. The bogey avoidance is 34th and 25th recently too. So nothing inside the top half of the field. And we're going to have 1/5 of the field rostering this guy just because he's $7,400. So we're going to leave him alone. Cameron Young, like I mentioned earlier, the second best distance driver in the field. But he's not that good out of the rough, which is really interesting. He's 5th and 6th in the field in good shot percentages from 100 to 150 and 150 to 200, but 30th and 36th out of the rough for either side of 150. That's not ideal. And then when you think about how bad he is around the greens, I don't know how he's going to play this week that well. Makes a ton of birdies, but the bogey avoidance is disastrously bad. 48th in the baseline situation and 25th this last 24 rounds. So no dice for Cameron Young this week from me. Not going to be playing him at $8,500. Cameron Davis, on the other hand, has been playing fantastic golf. He gets it done. And the exciting part about Cameron Davis is the fact that from 5 to 15 feet on bent grass greens, he's 7th in the field. Over the last 24 rounds in bogey avoidance, he's 18th. And he's trying to just ride this wave. He wasn't in the playoffs until the Wyndham Championship. Made it in then. Then he made it into the next wave of the playoffs after last week. So if he can get it done this week somehow, I think he's got to finish inside the top 10 or top 5 or something ridiculous, but it's there. And he's playing great golf. Bent grass putting from 5 to 15 feet is going to be very important this week for old Cam. And I think we can hopefully rely on that for someone that's been ball striking the crap out of it lately too. So he's been playing some really, really impressive golf. And I think he's going to be someone we're going to go to. Brian Harman's going to be an interesting situation because he lacks distance, but he's got extreme accuracy and a great putter. He's also very good out of the rough. For some weird reason, he's so solid out of the rough. Either side of 150, 15th and 8th in those departments. And he's the second best bogey avoider in the field in the season and 6th in the field of the last 24 rounds. So you're going to get all of that good stuff from old Harmster, the hamster, and see what he can get up to. This is the Open Champion we are talking about. So the last person to win a major, $8,100, 11% owned. Sign us up for that. Awesome stuff from him recently. So we'll see what he can get up to with the accuracy. He's going to be one of the few guys we put in our lineups who's got immense accuracy that's not necessarily going to be that crazily owned, you know. So I don't mind Brian Harman at $8,100. Like we mentioned, Russell Henley, you know, the bogey avoidance is his thing. The accuracy is his thing. Push shot avoidance is his thing. All of that stuff. He's really good out of the rough when it needs to be. But at 21% ownership, I can't do Russell Henley, especially for someone that doesn't necessarily crack the top 10 as much as he should. We're out. JT Poston, same situation. 15% ownership. I'm just out on him. I don't know why. I just can't get there. Wyndham Clark, on the other hand, is someone we're going to be rolling out here. $8,800 and 7% ownership because he cannot get it together recently. However, we saw him gain 4 strokes putting last week. That's not terrible at all in the final round, but the approach play was very bad and the driving was very bad. Lots of water. That's okay. You know, he can be a little erratic here and there. Wyndham Clark from around the greens is top 20 in the field. Recently, 7th in the field. So you're going to get that upside around the greens from him. He's the 4th longest driver of the golf ball in the field. I like what he can do. Then you take a look at his good shot rate from 100 to 150. It's 50th in the field. I guess there's some 52s in here, which is 53s, which means it's got some weird stuff going on. But what we do know is he definitely gets much better out of the rough. 5th and 6th in strokes gained from the rough. So any side of 150, he's going to be 5th or 6th in strokes gained, which is ideal. The bogey avoidance on the year is 9th. Recently, not so hot. You know, he had obviously multiple water balls last week. So we'll see what he can get up to there. But I like Wyndham Clark as a bit of a mini leverage play. You know, at 7%, this guy can win the US Open. Just nuke off the tee, hope for the best, and out of the rough, he should play some good golf. You know, he's a really solid around the green player and can putt lights out when he wants to. So we'll see what he can get up to. I like Wyndham Clark this week for sure in the 8K range. And then we're going to keep on scooting down. Jordan Spieth all the way down in 14th and 23rd in the model for upside. His upside goes backwards compared to our original model ranking because of the recent play. 32nd in the field in strokes gained recently, not good for Jordan. So we're out there. Justin Rose, geez, like, goes and shoots the worst round of the day, 6 over par in round 1, and then almost, I think, probably ties the course record or some ridiculous thing. Shoots a 61 the following day. So that's what you're going to get from Justin Rose. Disappointing stuff. You know, we went heavy on him again. He just keeps burning us. So I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do with Justin Rose at $7,900. He's one of the first guys that pops up that we really like in the 7K range. That's not named JT Poston. I don't know, friends. Justin Rose has always been the thorn in our side, huh? So we're going to leave him alone. Adam Schenk, we'll play him. Love Adam Schenk. Why? Distance, top 15, top 16 in the field. Love it. Approach play and putting, 15th and 11th in the recent performances there. Out of the rough with a wedge in his hand, top stuff, 14th. So we can see what he can do up there. And then Ben Cross putting is pretty solid too. $6,500. Give me Adam Schenk. He's going to be my low-owned dude that I'm going to be relying on as well. We've been playing him a lot. He's been great. He's been fantastic, man. T6 last week from Adam Schenk. What a great performance, man. So proud of this dude. And the upside. His upside is just immense. It goes from 36th to 25th. And I think he's one of the biggest jumpers in upside power rating. So absolutely love that from Schenky. And we'll see what he can get up to. That's going to be a fun little watch party. I think he's going to make it to East Lake. So good for him. Eric Cole's fascinating at $6,300, 15% owned. You know, out of the rough from inside 150, he's the best in the field. But outside of 150, he's 26th. And he putts phenomenally on Ben Cross greens. So you're going to get that from him. I don't know exactly what to do with Eric Cole at 15% ownership. So we'll see what we can do there. Old Denny the dirt dog. I don't know. Short game is impeccable. Accuracy, 20th in the field. Is that enough to go to him? All the putting stats on Ben Cross or in general are inside the top 11, with 3 of them inside the top 6. So you're going to get some incredible short game, and the bogey avoidance from Denny is pretty darn solid. So you got to bear that in mind. You know, the guy hasn't been generating a ton of birdies, but I think this golf course could definitely suit him, and he's one of the few guys that's $6,700. So potentially we could see Al Denny getting it done for us, and we might go heavy on him to a degree. His upside's right there. 29th in the field for a guy that's 2% owned. To me, I'm going to Denny. Like, he's going to be one of the few guys that we like. Seamus Power, I do not trust. The other guy that was 2%, I don't trust, whatever his name was. Kurt Kitayama. Oh, no, we do like him. So we'll talk about Kurt Kitayama as well. But I like Denny. I like him a lot. So we're going to go to him. Tony Finau, one of the worst putters, the worst putter in the field, cannot get it done right now. The bogey avoidance over the last 24 rounds is 49th in the field. Whew, Big Tony. We're going to talk about you and the Ryder Cup situation here shortly. Benny Arn is going to be the one guy at $7,500 that I really like, because he does two things really well. One of the worst putters in the field, but we've also seen him move to the broomstick. And since Benny Arn has moved to the broomstick, things have got better for him. He's definitely seen an uptick in performance on the greens since moving to that putter. In fact, since the John Deere Classic, he hasn't lost strokes putting, which is 5 rounds, a top 3, a top 2, a top 23, and a T37 last week. So there's a lot to like. We get some spike approach play from Benny Arn, and we get elite distance. So that is why he's 19% owned. That's okay. I'm going to play him. I like his chances at $7,500. You got to play a bit of chalk here and there, and we have pretty much dodged most of it. We're not playing Grillo. We're not playing Henley. You know, we're not playing crazy guys. We're going to play some Benny Arn, though. at $7,500. Off the tee, fourth in the field the last 24 rounds, third in distance, and the second best around the green player. So you're going to get all that stuff. The recent bogey avoidance over the last 24 rounds, 10th in the field. Love that. And like I said, putting, for someone that hadn't gained putting since April, he changed the long putter probably at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, which was the last time he lost strokes putting. 5 consecutive gainings on the putting surface for Benny On, and the around the green play has been sporadic too, but we get an incredible driver of the golf ball and an incredible around the green player who can now putt. So that's good. We like Benny On for sure. We're going to play some chalk there at $7,500. It is what it is. Everybody else down here, Siwoo Kim, also the ball striking scintillating, the putting disgusting. So we'll see what he can get up to, but I don't trust him at all. Sam Burns, I don't trust at all. Everyone jumped on Sam Burns last week because he had one good approach play week. So no, not going to do that again. Adam Hadwin, nothing to like there, really. So not going to play him. Keegan Bradley, the only thing I like about Keegan is the fact that he kind of grades out well on these hard golf courses. He gets it done. He's a grinder. I think he's going to be looking to get involved on the Ryder Cup discussion. I don't know what he's going to play like, though. You know, the putting has been great. He's been playing great golf recently. I like Keegan Bradley at $7,100, 14% owned. It is what it is. Everyone's going to be between 7 and 15% owned in this field. So a few percentages here and there aren't terrible. All about roster construction this week, like we mentioned, friends. Matty Fitz has lost the plot. Guy is just, there's nothing good about his game right now outside of a hard golf course. He's just a grinder, but Jesus, do we play him? I don't know. The rest of his game has just gone to crap. But at 7%, you're going to get a guy that could potentially grind his way to -2 and still finish inside the top 10, which is ownership leverage, you know, in my opinion. He's one of the top ownership guys here, but he's all the way 33rd in the model, 37th in the model. He's played well here before. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this guy. The bogey avoidance has still been pretty solid. So, fuck it. We'll go with Matty Fitz at 7% ownership. You got to play some uncomfortable guys. And maybe a course like this really gets his DNA kicking again, you know, a little shock to the system. Oh, you know, he gets probably turned on by over par scorecards. So we'll like him this week. Sungjae seems to be playing better golf, but geez, this guy's 39th in my model, which is ridiculous. He's $9,300. He's hanging out with all these other guys down here that are like 6K. Like, what are we doing, Sungjae? Baby, you know, get it together, my dude. But nothing good. Like, nothing of his outside of par 5 scoring is inside the top 10. So no dice for Sungjae. Lee Hodge is going to be chalk city again just because of his putting. So also not going to play Lee Hodges. Nick Taylor, I don't know if I like him on hard golf courses. I like him on easier courses where he can use his birdie or better rate to his advantage. Difficult golf courses don't necessarily suit Nick Taylor's game that well. Maybe not this week. So hit the Gala, though. 7,000 flat. The guy can't hit an approach shot anymore, apparently. It's incredible. Like, he just absolutely went from being one type of golfer to the other type of golfer. It's weird. Like, he's lost on approach the last 5 starts, but gained off the tee the last 4. Prior to that, he'd lost in 6 straight off the tee and gained pretty much on approach in 4, 5, 6 out of 7. He just trades in. It's like he goes to the pawn shop, trades in. Yeah, I'd like to hand in my approach play for some good off the tee. He'll never, ever leave his short game. The short game seems to always be there, which is probably an ideal situation this week. He's got some solid distance off the tee. Let's go to Sahith this week. He's balling out off the tee. Let's see what he can do out of the rough. Yeah, you know, whatever. So we'll play some Sahith at 7K. I don't mind him. Although he's 42nd in the model, you got to play some random dudes. If the iron play can find a bounce back, it seems like the bottom of the barrel was the Open. Got a bit better at the 3M and then got a bit better last week. He can putt lights out, and we know how scrappy he is. And we've seen what he can do on these difficult golf courses. Look here, 18th in the field in strokes gained on hard courses. So I like Sahith at this venue. $7,000 flat. We'll see what happens. Going to need him to do some damage for us. And then Kurt Kitayama. Kurt Kitayama, friends, if you take a look at what he's been up to, played pretty well at Bay Hill, played great at Oak Hill. Bay Hill, Oak Hill. Maybe he plays good at like landmark places. Oak Hill, Bay Hill, Olympia Fields, a hill or a field, Kurt Kitayama gets his stuff done. PGA Championship, T4, Arnold Palmer Invitational, he win. The CJ Cup, big field, big boy event, played nicely there. So that's about like the only time he's pretty much done anything. We've seen disgusting results ever since. But we know that he's got immense accuracy off a distance off the tee. We'll see what he can do there. But I think we're just going to have to play him as a $5,600 punt. That's basically it, as a game theory type situation, because that's all you're going to be getting from him. There's not a lot more to be excited about. So, yeah, that's what you're going to get from that dude. And that's about it for me. Everybody else over here, I'm going to be leaving alone. So that's that. Let's actually take a quick look at the Ryder Cup, because that's what we also wanted to talk about today. And here's the Ryder Cup, friends. We're going to just do this so you can see kind of what's going on over here. There we go. There we go. Okay, let me get myself out of the screen. Talk about some Ryder Cup stuff here. Oh, if we do that, we don't even have to do this. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So, Ryder Cup. Currently, the Ryder Cup situation looks like this. We've got Scotty Scheffler, Wyndham Clark, Patrick Cantlay, and Brian Harman sitting in 1, 2, 3, and 4 per Ryder Cup points. Okay. Brooks Koepka and Max Homa are also currently in, based off of 5th and 6th Ryder Cups points total. We've got what? 2 more events to kind of figure out what's going on here. So those guys are looking good. Sitting outside the top 6 is Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth, Cameron Young, 7, 8, and 9. Colin Morikawa, Keegan Bradley, and Sam Burns, 10, 11, and 12. This is Ryder Cup points total. On the website, this is what their situation is. Outside of Ryder Cup total points, Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, Denny McCarthy, and Lucas Glover, sitting in 16th. As we know, Lucas Glover's won the last 2 tournaments. As we know, Justin Thomas has been disgustingly bad recently. Darbo in the house with a yo, 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 yo. What's up, my brother? Thank you for tuning in, my friend. Happy to have you in the building. We are done with the BMW Championship. We're talking Ryder Cup Bubble Boys. And obviously, Scotty Scheffler, Wyndham, Cantlay, Brian Harman, Brooks, Max. Max has been playing well enough recently to be in here, especially over the last 6 months. Great golf. Xander over the last 6 months has been playing great, but like averagely great. Like he's just so good at being average to good. If you take a look at Xander over the season, he's 65% of the time he's inside the top 20, but only 18% of the time he's inside the top 10. So that is the thing. What is the key characteristic to find yourself inside the Ryder Cup selection pool? From Mr. Zach Johnson. If we filter on top 10 rates for the week, for the year, as you can see, Justin Thomas has the least amount of top 10s in the field. So I'm just going to say it right off the bat. He does not, in my opinion, deserve to be in this field, in the Ryder Cup pool. He obviously is going to be a captain's pick if he makes it, because he's not even in the playoffs. He's one of the only guys outside of Brooks Koepka in the selection criteria that's not playing this week. So all of these other dudes have been playing well enough to make it into the final 50, and JT never even made it into the final 70. The week he needed to play well enough to do it, he lost off the tee, he lost on approach, and had to rely on a short game, and it was a T12. It's like his 3rd best finish of the year. He had a 4th place finish at the Waste Management's Phoenix Open, which was in like ages ago when it was still cold in Iowa. And that was a backdoor situation. Outside of that, he had a T9 or a T10 at whatever you're going on. at the Travelers. That was the only time he's gained on approach in the last little while. So that's not good. And something that I would probably assume I want in the Ryder Cup is somebody that can make clutch putts when they need to. And Justin Thomas, out of these guys, is the third worst putter. Scotty Scheffler and Cameron Young are the two worst combined. Over the last 3 months, they've both lost half a stroke putting. JT's lost a third. Then, if you take a look at top, JT not making clutch putts, dude, I totally agree. He's not going to be doing it. Like, you can't tell me he's going to be, and also, he's going to have to make these long bombs because he hasn't even been doing well on approach recently either. So he's the only one over the last 3 months that's losing strokes that's in the mix. Like, do we really want that guy? Like, look at this. He's the only glaring red situation here. The next worst guy, Cameron Young, who's gaining 0.64 over the last 3 months, is a full stroke ahead of him. How? How is this worthy of making it into the Ryder Cup team? There's nothing green here. Nothing. So I understand the history with Justin Thomas. I understand that he's Justin Spieth's Robin to the Batman that Justin Spieth is. Jordan Spieth. Jordan Thomas. Put Ricky Fowler with Spieth. That's my suggestion. Okay? So we're going to go back to the rankings here. Justin Thomas, out. Sorry, sir, you have been voted out. I don't want him in my roster. So we'll leave him alone. If you take a look at these other two, so we got to put Ricky Fowler in because he's 13th in Ryder Cup points. So he's going to have to kick out one of these guys. According to Freddie Couples, according to Twitter, Cameron Young's in already. So my first suggestion, we'll get to Cameron Young here shortly, but Sam Burns. I'm sorry, my buddy. I would put Ricky Fowler in place of you for sure. Just everything about Ricky Fowler is way better than what you've been up to. He's made more cuts. He's had more top 20s by 20%, more top 10s. He's won a tournament, so has Sam Burns. Yes, I understand that. Ricky Fowler's last strokes gained over the last 3 months is the fourth best in the field of these guys that can make the Ryder Cup team for the US, while Sam Burns is the third worst over the last 3 months. That's not ideal. Sam Burns is a very good putter, but he's not even putting that well right now. Is Marco Simone a Bermuda course? I don't know. I don't imagine it is. So Sam Burns, to me, is out. To me, I would rather put in Ricky Fowler instead. So we'll switch out that. And then there's one other adjustment I want to make to this team. Sam Burns is out. I'm going to take him out here. I'm going to make him, well, we just see. You can see what is going on here. Sam Burns out, Ricky Fowler in, and then Cameron Young is the other guy. I know Freddie Couples said he needs to be in the team, but dude, you suck right now. Like you really do. If you want to take a look at top 20 rates over the last while, he's sitting here with Justin Thomas. If you want to look at top 10 rates, he's also all the way top 10. Like, he's just not doing it. Keegan Bradley, Sam Burns, Cameron Young. I don't know. Between Cam Young and Keegan Bradley, the reason I want to put Keegan in there is because the strokes gain it's almost a stroke more than Cameron Young over the last little while. And guess what? If Cam Young finishes inside the top 10 this week, he's in. What happens if Keegan Bradley finishes inside the top 5? We were just talking about clutch putters. If we filter on the clutch putting over the last 3 months, Keegan Bradley is the third best putter in the field. We know what his ball striking can be like. We know what Keegan Bradley does when he plays in Boston. If he can take those same vibes across the ocean, play for his country, Keegan Bradley just seems like he's a guy that can elevate his game in the same way as Brooks Koepka in majors kind of thing. Like, if you give Keegan an emotional reason to play good golf, he's going to do it. He's an emotional golfer. I don't see him not making this team. Although the performance, the top 20s and top 10s have been lacking, but he's won twice in the last year. So, you get that from him. The strokes gained stuff are okay, especially recently he's been playing better. I think Marco Simone suits his game. I think this week suits his game too. So hopefully he can show us why we want to play him in the Ryder Cup and then go from there. But Glover needs to be in over Cameron Young. I know over the last 3 months, imagine what Lucas Glover over the last 3 months is actually beating Cam Young in putting. And we know that 3 month includes the Lucas Glover with a normal putter for a while. We've seen the clutch putts that he freaking daggered me with yesterday against Patrick Cantlay, or 2 days ago against Patrick Cantlay. Talk about being clutch as fuck. Like, that is exactly what you're looking for, is a good putter. Now he's got the broomy. I think Marco Simone is not a bomber's paradise. It's a Lucas Glover type situation. Accurate off the tee, ball striker, iron player. And after the comments, the chills, his post-round interview was amazing. Like, didn't think about it. He's just head down, blue collar motherfucker. I love it. I love Lucas Glover. Like, I've dropped more F-bombs just talking about Ryder Cuppers than I have on this podcast probably ever. So, Lucas Glover, man, the top 10 rates, fine. Like, he's won the last 2 tournaments and he's been playing great golf. So, put his ass in here. Get Cameron Young's ass out of here. He doesn't deserve to be in the team. I don't care what Freddie Couples says. He sucks at putting. If you got a Cam Young putt that needs to be made to win for Ryder Cup, he's not doing it. And he's not doing it. He can't win a tournament. Lucas Glover's just won 2 in a row. Like, he's got zero clutch factor. Yes, there's variance to winning, blah, blah, blah. I don't think Cameron Young deserves to be in the squad, folks. So we'll see. Take his ass out of here. Take Sam Burns' ass out of here. And then throw in Keegan, throw in Ricky, and throw in Glove Daddy. I think those guys deserve it. Denny McCarthy, one of the best putter out of all of these guys, but not good enough to do anything significant when it comes under pressure either. So that's the situation here, friends. We're going to roll. Scotty Scheffler, Wyndham Clark, Patrick Cantlay, Brian Harmon, Brooks Koepka, Max Homa, Xander, Jordan Spieth, Colin Morikawa, Keegan, Ricky, and Lucas Glover. Just switch out Ricky for JT. I think that's going to bring the same energy to the locker room. Justin Thomas being in that locker room is going to be like showing up to a party that you have no business at. Like, I would feel like a timid freshman at a senior situation where I've got no business being there. No business. And he's just going to, if he plays badly, he's going to have to be like this fake energy. No, you need guys that can play well. And if they played badly, it's because they had a bad week. It's not because you could see it coming from a mile away. That's my opinion. If I were a captain, I don't know. I'll have Scott Holdridge and Mark Fox on after the Tour Championship to discuss this. We're going to have an Irishman and a Californian on the pod, really get their takes on the Ryder Cup. Scott Holdridge is my go-to guy for the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup because we debuted our partnership there with 2 teams, 1 Ryder Cup, and that was a fun podcast. So we're going to do that again, have a good time doing all of that. And that's my Ryder Cup take at the end of the show. Rory McIlroy is going to win this thing, Darbo, 8-1. Top 5, plus 140. That's pretty much my only bets. Oh, I do have more, actually. First round leaders, Tommy Fleetwood, 25-1. Benny On, 45-1. Adam Schenk, 70-1. Those are my 3. See what they're going to get up to. And then I think Adam Schenk, you got Rahm this week, huh? Got Rahm. The rom-com. I don't know, dude. I understand it. I see if he resorts back to the baseline golf that he's been playing, yes. He's so good out of the rough. But when Rahm was winning these tournaments, dude, his short game was really good. It's kind of gone. It's gone on him. Like if you take a look at what he's been up to recently, it's not been good, dude. Like he's fourth in the model, putting and around the green. It's outside it's basically top 20 and worse. Yes, hard course is third. Whoop-de-doo. But is this going to be like that hard of a golf course with how soft it's going to be? That's my question. So I don't know. The ball striking hasn't been there either. We've seen hard golf courses, Rom, but this is also a hard golf course, Darbo, that's the proximities are pretty simple. They're pretty stock compared to tour, right? We've got a lot of these wedges, 125 to 150, 150, 175, a soft golf course with Rom. Now, a lot of these are going to be coming out of the rough. I understand about half of them. Yes. But if you're looking at just who's playing the best golf, who can play out of the rough as well, who plays well on hard golf courses is Rory. He's the best. And I think on a soft, long golf course like this, he's gonna be just fine. So, yeah. The more I don't like Ram, the more I don't like him, the more you like him. Oh well. Well, have yourself a week with Ram. One of us is going to be happy unless the Scotty plays well. So, my maniac is showing you. You're talking such crap, dude. Rory's number one in the model. Why? Model and maniac. Beautiful little synchronous situation, yeah. Anyway, friends, I never even said this podcast was sponsored by Rotoballer. So I guess I might not get paid for this one. Who the hell knows? But use code maniac for 10% off. See what happens. Last week we crushed it. If you bet $100 using Breaking 100, you would have won 39. So even losing Patrick Cantlay as an outright. If Victor Hovland and Patrick Cantlay never bogeyed the 18th in regulation and in the playoff, we would have had $149 extra than what we made. So we would have been a big week. We were very close. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get it done. So check it out, rotoballer.com, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Darbo, have fun with Ram this week. I will gladly be watching him suck it up compared to Rory, and we go from there. Maybe we do a friendly wager of someone sends each other. I've almost got my merch figured out too, so we'll figure that out, but maybe we do like a $1 wager and figure out Ram versus Rory heads up. So let me know. Catch me in the DMs. And folks, thanks for tuning in. Catch y'all next week for the Tour Championship.